Recording in progress. Thank you so much. And now let me share my screen. Yeah. So basically, Hyperledger Fabric is a framework using which you can create a private network, right? Or a private blockchain. So basically here, when you have multiple organizations and if you want to connect them, every organization will have multiple nodes. That's how you connect, right? You need to have nodes there. Now, when you have nodes with you, how do we authorize those nodes for the network? So of course, we need a special service who will give the authorization. I mean, who should be part of this network or who should not be part of this network. And also, if a person says I'm that person, if I say I'm Navin Reddy, what's the proof that I'm Navin Reddy? Of course, you can trust me with my voice and my face, but what if I'm using a what's the app name? Is it Deep Fake Face or Deep?
Yes, deep fake.
Yeah, deep fake. So there are some applications using which you can fake the face, right? And also you can fake the voice. I'm not sure how, but yeah, but I can fake it, right? So how do we prove that I'm Navin Reddy? So maybe you can use my signature. I can give a thumbprint using some scanner here. In the same way, in the network, if you want to prove yourself, you need to have a certificate, which will be given by CA. So basically, we need multiple organizations. That's one thing. You need multiple nodes. You need a MSP, which is membership service provider. We'll discuss that later in detail, but as of now, remember we need MSP. We'll also need a CA, which is a certificate authority. Now, this CA is responsible to give you the certificate, right? Okay, so we need those things. We'll also need what? We will need, maybe Manta, by the time I'm saying that, you can just type in the chat window so that we can use it later. And we'll also need another service which will sequence all the transactions in a block and which will add it in a blockchain. So that service is called the ordering service. So we need organizations, we need peers, we need MSP, we need ordering service, and we'll need CA. Now, all these things are actually available in the test network which they provide, the Hyperledger Fabric. Okay, so in the last session, we have talked about the Fabric samples, right? When we ran that script, it was working finally. So when you run that script, it will download all the images and dependencies which are required. You just have to go to this particular folder, which is test network, and you can get started. So that's what we are going to do. So we'll go step by step and we'll follow each step. In fact, I should open a new window, new tab, because I was just trying it out. Okay, so the first step, is it a lot transparent? Let me just make it a bit less transparent. Okay, so basically we need to first move to the folder, right? So I've downloaded that in HF demo. So let's move to HF demo. And then if I say ls in HF demo, I have my Fabric samples. So I will say Fabric samples. And in this Fabric samples, if I say ls, you can see we have one little folder here, which is called the test network. If you can see here, this is the test network. So we basically need to move to that particular folder, which is test network. And we are, okay, it's network and we are here. Now, once you are there in that folder, in that particular directory, we have also tried this, right? We were able to run the network. We were able to shut down the network. So the first step is it's better to always shut down the network before we do anything, because might be there is a service running. So it's a network sh down and it is stopping the services. That's great. But why is taking so much time today? Okay, great, done. And now let's up the network. We'll say network.sh. And don't worry, I will give you these steps. So what I did is I created this document where I have written all the steps and a summary as well. And we can use this when you are trying this. Okay, so you can see the peers are running. That's great. Now, once you have your network up, the next step is we'll do some transactions. So what transaction we are going to do? Now, whenever you start the network, you got your peers. Okay, so your peer is working. You also got your ordering service. But whenever you want this peer to interact, you need to have a private channel, right? So we don't have a channel yet. So by default, when you start the network, you will not be having this channel. And one more thing, whenever you use this type of network, it is only good for learning purpose. Don't use this network for the production use. Okay. Okay, so here we are basically going to create a channel. Now, what's the step for creating a channel? It's very simple. You just need to execute this statement, which is network.sh create channel. Now, this is where it will create a channel for you and your nodes can interact now. Okay, but then do we have to provide a name for the channel? Yes, you can provide the name for the channel. But if you don't mention the name, by default, the name of the channel will be my channel. Okay, so you can say enter. So you can see it will create a channel for you. It is creating the channel. So it says channel, my channel created. And there will be two nodes on this channel. We got we got peer 1 and peer 2. Now, where do we see those peers is when you up the network for the first time, when you run this network, it will show you those two peers. So when you run this, just look at the output and find those two peers. It should be peer 0 and peer 0 of organization 1 and peer 0 of organization 2. You will see that. Now, both this peer are part of a network. Okay, that's good. So we got a channel as well. Now, what if you want to provide a name for the channel? You have to use -c and channel name. So you have to say -c and whatever channel name you want to give, maybe channel 1, channel 2, something like that. But as of now, we don't want to do that. We got one channel. Let's use it. Okay, now what next? Now, once you got your channel up, so basically you got peers and you got channel as well. It's time to deploy our chain code. Now, what is chain code basically? See, whenever you talk about blockchain networks, we have talked about Bitcoin, we have talked about Ethereum. Now, what Ethereum gives you is, Ethereum gives you a blockchain network where you can write applications. Example, if you want to sell something online, instead of using Amazon, we can create our own service on the Ethereum network. You can write a code for it, which is running on the decentralized network. So we can achieve the same thing using Hyperledger Fabric. And for that, you have to write smart contracts. And you can package the smart contract in a thing called a chain code. So you can imagine chain code as a package where you have your smart contracts. Now, once you have your smart contract, you can just deploy it on this channel. But the problem is, do we have a smart contract? Now, since we are learning Hyperledger Fabric, they give you some projects to work with. So if you can explore, if you go to home directory, you can see we got HF demo, Fabric samples. There are so many projects here. We are going to use this particular project, which is asset transfer basic. So what is asset transfer? Any asset. Let's say I have a car and I want to transfer that car to someone else. So let's say maybe Thomas is buying that car from me. So the asset, which is a car, is moving from Navin Reddy to Thomas. Does that make sense? So that's what we are going to do here, moving the assets from one person to other person. Now, what happens nowadays, so the house which I bought, I bought it, it's been 2 years now, right? And then what if I want to sell it now? It looks good. I mean, the price went up from what I bought, but then I have also paid for the registration, right? Some extra government tax. Now, when I sell it, I will not get the value of it, right? Because the price of this house is different. The tax is different. And it's a long process to transfer an asset from one person to the other person. How about if you make it very quick? If I want to sell this house now, it should be in a day. We can do that on decentralized network, right? All the data which need to be changed on the network will be changed instantly. Maybe not instantly, but it will not take more than few hours, right? So this is the application which we want to run here, the asset transfer. Now, before doing that, before running this application, we have to make sure that you are deploying this application on your channel. Now, the way you do that is by mentioning the network. So the script basically. Now, in this script, you have a option of deploying the chain code, okay, with some option, and then the version of it. Again, we'll see this later, what these options are. As of now, we just want to run this command, which is asset. The chain code name is asset transfer basic. This is your chain code. And which chain code you're going to use? We are going to use Go for this example because we are not looking at the code now. We are just looking at the execution. So it doesn't matter which code you run, right? Because we're not going to see the code today, at least for this test network. So before I go ahead, let me know if I'm still audible. I'm talking from a long time. I've not heard anything back from you.
Yes, audible.
Okay, great. So basically, we'll deploy this and we'll also mention the language Go. If you want to change the language, you can, I guess you can give -L and you can mention the language name and it should work. But basically, language is not a concern now because we're not going to see the code. So let's run this. Now this will deploy your chain code. It's not working. Okay, what went wrong? So let's see. It says there is an issue with the Go path. Is it the Go path? Okay, so Go is not available in the path. Do I have the Go installed? Oh, Go is not installed. Okay, so basically I have to set the path for Go, and I got this error before as well, and that's why I got a solution mentioned somewhere. Yeah. So this is a command to set the path. Don't worry, I will give you this cheat sheet to explore. So the Go path is set. We can check the Go version. It is working. You can see we have Go version there. And now it's time to run this. And now you can see something is happening, though there's no error. It says the chain code is getting deployed. So chain code is packed. Chain code is installed on peer 01. Okay, wait. Okay. So you can see chain code is installed on peer 0 of organization 1. Chain code is installed on peer 0 of organization 2. So both this organization has exactly one peer. And it also got installed on the channel. This is we wanted, right? Everything is there. The chain code is properly installed. Am I still audible? Because I just lost something.
Yes, sir, audible.
My AirPods just got. Hold on, something is. This is the problem with Ubuntu. Sometimes it works and then it starts giving issues. Okay, the output device, let it keep it as the speaker itself. Can you try saying something, anyone? Hello, mic testing. I'm audible there? Yes, sir. Okay, but I can't hear your voice. Okay, sure. Okay. I can't hear your voice. Yeah, I can hear it now. I can hear Amarjit. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So AirPods was the bad idea. Let me just place it down. Okay, let me share this screen again. Yeah, so the Go has given me error before as well. That's why we have to set this path. Okay, now once you have your chain code installed on this channel, let's go for the next step. So basically what we got peers, we got the chain code, and we also got the channel, right? So the next step is we can interact with this network. So we can play with this network, we can add the assets. So basically we'll do that with another peer. Of course, right, if you want to interact with the network, we'll do that with the peer. Now this is the main window. I will not be using this window. Let me open another window here. And this window here is my first peer. So let me just go to the Fabric sample test networks. Every time you want to do this, you have to set the path. Otherwise, if you want to do all those things from the other folder, you will need to set the path for the entire project. Okay, so let me just minimize this. Let's use this window. Now, this is where you will interact with the network. Now, what interaction I'm talking about? So basically, it's all about asset, right? So what we will do is, first of all, we'll initialize this ledger. As of now, we don't have any asset on the network. So we'll initialize the ledger. In this ledger, we'll have around 6 instruments. Okay, don't worry, we don't have to create those instruments by ourselves. We will be having, we'll be running a code using which you will get those assets. Now, once we got the asset, we'll transfer at least one asset to some other person. Okay, that's the idea here. But we'll do that from the peer, right? And as of now, we don't have a peer. But if you want to do that, if you want to work with a peer, this is the step. This is the step you have to follow. Okay, so you have to invoke a chain code, and this will load the peers. And this will initialize the ledger. Is it? Yeah. So let me just copy this. So this is where you will get, it will initialize the ledger for you. Let me paste and just look at the command size. This is one big command. Unfortunately, we got some extra spaces. Just look at the size of the command. Will you be able to remember this? Of course not. And that's why some people like Windows, because you don't have to type. Okay, enter, and okay, something is weird. It's not working. Now, first of all, it will not work because the issue is we are using, if you can see, we are using a word called peer here, right? At the start. Now, peer is a command, but then in Ubuntu or in Linux, we don't have this command, which is peer, right? Now, what is this peer command? So peer is basically a command in the sample itself. So if you can see, if you go to Fabric samples and if you go to bin, we have different commands here, or the execution. We have a peer. So this is what we want to use. But if you want to use this here in the command prompt, you need to set the path. Okay, so how do we set the path here? It's very simple. If you can see, we have to use this export command to set the path. Let's set the path. Done. Now we got peer. Now, not just peer, we also need one more thing. If you can see, we also have a config folder. Now, in this config folder, we have some configuration for the core Fabric package. And we also need this code package. We also need this configuration for this running. And for that, you also need to get this. So basically, we are setting the path for the bin and for the config. Now, once you have your path set, we have to also export some variables for the organization one. So basically, we have two organizations. Currently, we are working with the organization one, and that's why we only have one command prompt. But later on, we'll use the organization two as well. So we can simply paste it here and say enter. I guess it worked. Now, one way you can verify that is by using echo. If it is set, we can check at least one. Let me check the address. Yeah, so address is set, that means it's working. All the variables has been set. Okay, now if you can see, we basically need the certificate authority. For the certificates, we also need MSP. Now, all those configuration, of course, we'll see that later in detail, but in this command, whenever you execute this, it has everything. Okay, it has, let me just show you somewhere. Maybe I have that in the here. So if you can see, this is the command we are going to execute to initialize the ledger. So what exactly we are doing is we are invoking the chain code. We are mentioning the orderer. We are mentioning the certificate authority file as well. What is that? Yeah, this is where you have the certificate authority PEM file. And then we have to also specify the endorser peers. Now, of course, we have not talked about endorsers yet. But just to give you an example, remember in Bitcoin, in the proof of work, we have miners. In the same way, in the Hyperledger fabric, we don't have miners, but then every transaction need to be validated, and that is done by the endorsement peers. Who are endorsement peers, that we'll see later. But as of now, we are using endorsement peer as the peers which we have. You can see we have peer 0 of organization 1, and we got peer 0 of organization 2. These both are endorsement peers as of now. Imagine them as a miner. They will validate their own transactions. And then the function we are calling here is init ledger. So this is a inbuilt function which is created inside the language. We are calling this function without passing any parameter. Simple stuff, right? I know this is a big command, but not a lot of things are happening. It's just that we are specifying the certificate authority. We are specifying the endorsement peers and which function we are calling. We are calling init ledger by not passing any parameter. Let's run the script, and I hope it should work this time. Oh, why it is giving me this thing? Weird. Am I not copying it properly?
Something is incomplete, I guess. Code.
Yeah, it worked. Can you see that the chain code invoked successfully? So status is 200. That means the ledger has been initialized. But then how do we see the values? It's actually very simple. If you want to see the values, we can simply run this particular command. You can see we are calling a function called get all assets. Copy. So this is a command which will give you all the assets. And these are our assets. So we can see we got the appraised value, which is 300. Ignore the value as of now. The important thing is the ID. So the ID is asset 1. The owner is Tomoko. I don't know what that means. And the size is 5. Then we got the second ID. The second ID is asset 2. Owner is Brad and size is 5. Then we got the third ID as asset 3. Owner is Zinsu, and list goes on. The last ID here is asset 6, and the owner is Michael. Okay, so we got all this asset, and this has been initialized when we ran this particular script here. Okay, so basically we got the ledger as well. So we got the peers, we got the channel, and we got the ledger as well. But then the actual fun will start when you do the transactions, right? So how do we do this? How do we transfer the asset? So what we basically want to do is the asset which belongs to Michael, you can see Michael has asset 6. I want to move this asset from Michael to Christopher. How do we do that? Now for that, we have to run this command. So let me first get this command and paste it in my text edit. Okay, so basically what we are doing here is we are running another chain code with the same values, all the same values the mentioned above. What is changing this time is the function. The function we are calling now is transfer asset. Okay, but then we are also passing some arguments. We are passing arguments, which is the asset name and the new owner. So now the asset 6 is moving to the new owner, which is Christopher. Let's execute this. And paste, enter. And you can see it says success. How do we verify? Let's get all the asset. And now if you can see, the owner is Christopher. So that's how you do transactions on the Hyperledger Fabric. So basically that's how you update the ledger, right? But then what if you want to know who is the old user? So basically Hyperledger Fabric maintains two ledgers, right? One is the transaction log and second one is the world state. So the current state is Christopher. Christopher owns this asset 6, but in the transaction log, you can actually track this asset belongs to Christopher, but before this, it was belonging to Michael. Before that, it was belonging to Naveen. So you can track all those things. Does it make sense, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. In fact, the transaction which we did is only on peer 1, right? What if you want to see if it really reflected on peer 2? If it is not, then what's the use of blockchain? That means we are using individual databases, right? Let's verify that. What I will do is I will create another window, a new window, and this is for the peer, the second peer for the second organization. Same steps we have to do. We have to export these variables for the second organization, paste, done. And now let's run this peer. Do you think it will work? I think it should give an error. You know why? Because we have not set the path for the peer. Okay, how do we set the path for the peer? It was there somewhere. Yeah, two things. You need to export these two things in the new command line. Paste, path set, copy, paste. Okay, both is done. Now let's run the peer and see if it is working. Oh, the peer is still not set. Am I missing any step here?
So maybe a folder name haven't.
Oh, right. How can I miss that? Nice observation. Okay, so I need to do the steps again.
When you run the network sh script, you use the binary folder, like the network sh script now uses the binary folder, like exports the path for the binary folder inside your Hyperledger, like peer, then ordering service and all. So you will have to run network sh here as well, or you have to like export the path in bash rc.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because in network sh script, you can see that it's using the binary folder.
Yeah, but the network is running, right? Command
But
prompt
it's
is
running
just a
on
console.
the different terminal, correct? It's not running on this terminal. That's all.
I don't think that should be an issue. So basically the entire network is running on a Docker, right? And using any console, I should be able to get the access to a Docker. Let's try. I think it should work. If not, then we'll do these things which you mentioned. Let me set the path again.
Yes, this part only. Try with this part.
Sorry.
Try it with this part. Yeah. Now it should work.
Yeah, but we also need config, right? Yeah. And then the Excel file as well. I mean, this not Excel file, but the exports for copiers.
Yeah.
Okay, and it should work now. Yes, yeah, it is working. Can you see that we got the Christopher? So that means both this peer got this data because they are sharing the same ledger. Of course, they have different instances of those ledger, but they have been shared on the same channel. That's the beauty, right? It doesn't matter how many organizations you have, the data will be replicated to all the organizations. Does it make any sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Also, I have one question.
Yes, please.
Initially, Christopher have not in the list of honor. I
Right.
thought so.
Right.
But how I can transfer a asset to a unknown person named like a Christopher?
It's just a name. Imagine that as an address. So once you're doing the production network, imagine that's an address. As of now, it's just a name for us.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Cool. So try this, and it will make much more sense when you do this on your machine first. Okay. So that's about the test network. Try this, and it should make sense. And now it's time to see the FabCar example. Mandar, all set?
Am I audible? Because my voice is a little bit choked up today. Not little bit, it's a huge choke up, I guess. But am I audible enough, all of you?
Yes, sir. Audible.
Yeah.
Yep,
So,
audible.
thank you so much. So I'm going to share my screen straight away. What we are going to discuss is the part of Fabric, which is moreover inclined towards the development way. That how do you write chain code and how do you install the chain code, and whatever Naveen has told you that what happens behind the scene, how you can configure it in the real-time scenario. So that is what the basic idea. See, the way I understand technology is the way it executes. Unless and until it gets executed, I don't feel that something is happening in that particular technology. So what we will be doing is we'll be talking about the execution, how it works, and we will try to do some change in the existing code, and we'll see it. Detailing part of that again we can discuss later on. So let me share my screen. I hope you're able to see my screen. And all of you have downloaded this, let's say, Fabric sample repository on your system. And we're going to start right away from this. Remember, yesterday I told you that this is a Visual Studio code which I'm using, which is connected to my Ubuntu instance, which is installed on my Windows. So you will be able to get everything similar to Linux. But only thing is that I'm going to put it on Windows. The first thing that we are going to do is we are going to look at this Fabric samples folder, which you have downloaded. So this is a huge folder, right? So many times when you're beginners or newbie, looking at this folder might be a challenge that what is this folder all about? Should I need to know all these folders and all these things? But what we are going to do is that we are going to make it crisp and we are going to keep it only the things which are required for us, and we are going to delete remaining things. For example, let's say as we are going to talk about FabCar, I don't need all these things. So I should delete this thing, I should delete this thing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select all these things till bin, let's say, and I'm going to delete all these folders. These are not required. Oh, did I deleted everything? My bad. Okay. Let me go to open folders. So I do have another folder here. No worries. Okay. So this is a folder that has been created. So this is a folder basically which talks about only the required things. So if you see, you can compare it with your own folder. What I do have over here is only few folders which are required. So I need a bean, I need a chain code folder, I need a config folder, and I need a Fabcar folder, and I need a test network list. Now, what are these folder and how this folder works actually? That's what the first thing we are going to discuss. Bean is the folder which is foremost important folder because it contains all the binaries which are required to execute our Fabcar, which are required to execute our fabrics. Let's say it contains some tools for CryptoGen discovery to generate the CA client server and all that thing. It also has got some let's say binaries for generating orderer, admin, peers, and all that thing. So all these things are part of this bean. Let's say your chain code is basically the program which is called obviously as a chain code, which contains some code which you are going to execute. Now understand that in your folder, what you will see is that you will see different folders called as a Java. You will see another folder called as a Go. You will see another folder called as a JavaScript. Now, as my focus is related with JavaScript, and of course, Navin is going to take after that Java. So I have kept only two folders here. One is called as a JavaScript, second is called as a Java. So content of both these things will be similar. Only thing is that it will be in the syntax of that corresponding language. So right now it will be related with, let's say, JavaScript. I will come back to this folder later on once I finish each and everything. Then there is a config folder. And this is a folder which talks about different configurations. So you'll see three different files over here. So one of the file is called as a config transactions.yaml file, which actually talks about the configuration of entire, let's say, transactions which are going to happen in the fabrics. And then this is also the same thing. All the core utilities will be actually configured in the core YAML file. And then there is one more file which is called as a orderer.yaml, which is going to have the configurations for all the orderers. Again, we are going to talk in detail afterwards once I finish up the execution. Navin will take you to the other steps of that. So this is about the config folder. Then you have this Fabcar folder. And inside this Fabcar folder, again, you will see there is a Java folder, which is not required for this demonstration. But there is a folder which is called as a JavaScript. And inside that, you will see certain other files, which we'll talk about after a couple of minutes. Now, out of all these things, right now for us, there are two files which are important before we start it to the next level. The chain code file, which is available. Inside that, we are going to have, let's say, contract. So if you go to JavaScript and inside that, if you go to lib, there is one file which is called as a fabcar.js. So if I open this, of course, this is not the file which you people are having. You will have one file which contains a lot of code. But right now, this is a file which contains one class which is going to extend contract. This is a predefined class which is known to, let's say, fabrics. And there is one method which is called as init ledger, which takes into account, let's say, context. And I'm going to add some state. Remember the state, world state, and all these things that we discussed, that Navin discussed earlier. So I'm going to have a state defined wherein I will have one key and value for that particular key. Then there is a function which is called as a write data, which contains context, key, and value. And again, I'm going to put a state into that by putting up this key and value. And there is a read data, which is going to have, again, ctext and key. So I'm going to pass context, I'm going to pass key, and whatever key I'm going to pass, based on that, I'm going to search what is the value for that key. And then it is going to send me the response. Now, the question is where all these methods are configured or where all these methods are actually invoked. We'll talk about that a little bit afterwards. But this is a simple class which you are going to have as a contract. So this is a Fabcar which contains some implementation to initialize, to write the data, and to read the data. This is a very simple file that I have created. This is one thing that we must have. Then one of the important file apart from this is this particular startfabric.sh. This is a script, and this is where most of the things are going to happen. Now, of course, again, as I told you that we are going to go into the details. Naveen is going to take you to a lot of details. But as I'm moving towards the demo, let me show you, or let me talk a little bit about what this particular startfabric.sh does. It does a lot of things. First of all, it checks your argument that which language you're going to use to implement your chain code. So this is a SRC language that you are going to have. So it may be Go, it may be JavaScript. So it says that, let's say, if you're going to use JavaScript, then it is going to invoke the chain code, which is available in the chain code folder, Fabcar subfolder, and inside that JavaScript. So over here, chain code, Fabcar, JavaScript, and inside that folder. So this is the setting which is available over here, right? Remember, by default, it is Go. If you want to execute JavaScript, you have to give that particular argument. How to do it? I will show you. Then if you go ahead, it will talk about something which is called as a wallet. And it says that remove the content which is available in wallet. So it says that basically remove everything, clean out every entity which is available in the wallet. So right now, if I go here, you will see that in Fabcar, there is a wallet. Right now, I don't think much of the things are present in the wallet. Nothing is there. You will see that some change will happen in the wallet later on. So this is again the same thing. It will delete entire stuff into the let's say your JavaScript wallet. In fact, I showed you the wallet from Java. It should be in JavaScript. Okay, so this is the wallet which is available in JavaScript. Right now it is empty. Some files will be added into that. And then it does a very interesting things. It talks to your test network. So I'm going to say through this particular file that push to the directory test network. So it will go to, let's say, test network. So this is a folder. And if the network is on, it will invoke network sh.down. Remember a few minutes back, Naveen told you about this particular file, network sh.down, network sh.up. And after it shutdowns the network, if it is already available, it will make the network on. So remember that this startfabric.sh talks to the test network. And this test network has got one file which is called as a network sh file. I'm going to make it up. And again, the same command which is given by Naveen on the test network console, the same commands we are going to directly use inside this startfabric.sh. So do you remember those? So create channel. So this is going to create a channel called as, let's say, my channel or channel one kind of a stuff. Then there is a certificate authority. And then this is -h couchdb. So couchdb is an internal database which will get installed on your let's say Docker, and we'll see that how it works actually. And after that, it will also have the command to deploy. So this is the same command again that we saw on your test network earlier. Only thing is that I'm going to push it from my startfabric.sh. So this is what your startfabric.sh is going to do. Any doubts up till now? Anyway. Should I move ahead, or you want anything extra? Okay. Okay, so nothing new. Only thing is that whatever we did in test network, same thing we did it over here. But the change that we did is we have written our own Fabcar.js, and inside that we do have certain code over here, right? So what we will do is we will try to execute that startfabric.sh, and the way to do is to go to, let's say, Fabcar. See, now I'm able to give all the Linux commands over here also. And what I can do is I can say startfabric.sh, and do not miss to write this JavaScript, because see what will happen. If I do not write the JavaScript, it will assume that you are going to use Go. And unfortunately, I have deleted Go, and I want that my script from JavaScript should get executed. So I'm going to write this startfabric.sh, and I'm going to connect to the chain code which is written in JavaScript. Okay, and I'm going to just say enter. See all the files. Let me go it on the top. So it will remove the containers which are available. It will remove the generated chain code Docker image if there are any available. You will see that it will create a network called as a fabric test, and a lot of things will happen. All the things that Naveen showed you. So you can see that there are two organizations which are created. It also generates the admin MSPs and all that stuff. So basically, it generates two organizations and two peers, and my channel is created. It's not possible to explain each and everything because it is scrolling so fast. We cannot talk much about each and every line, but of course you can, if you can make it somewhere as a log, you will be able to do it. Now you can see chain code installation is done, and name of the chain code is fabcar.tal.g. This is the actually chain code which is installed. Of course, it is installed on the channel. It is installed on the nodes of two organizations and all that thing. There is an order and all that thing. At the same time, it will, as I told you, talk to the CouchDB and other stuff as well. But only thing is that right now we're not able to see it unless this finishes up. So let me wait for that. So you can see all the approvals for organization as well. So organization 1 MSP2, organization 2 MSP2, all the approvals will also happen. Done. So this is the last thing that you will get once your application is, or once your chain code is deployed. Now, just to make sure that everything is on, if I say Docker PS, okay, you will see that there are peers. Let me just see. There are peers. There are orderers. So you can see there is one orderer here, which you can see. I'm not able to see my entire screen though because of my recordings. And there is. Do you see anywhere the CouchDB? And for this CouchDB, you can also see there is a port number which is connected, which is called as which is having 5984. So CouchDB, as I told you, is internal database which is created. Let me show you that whether you can, in fact, look at that CouchDB. To go to the CouchDB, you do have this localhost 5984. I think this is the same port number 5984 -utils. You have to just say enter. It will ask you for username and password. I guess it is admin and admin pw. And if I say login, you should be able to see your all the details, right? So where is my Fabcar? So this is my Fabcar, my channel F1 Fabcar. If I click on that, you will see the test. Do you understand from where the test came? Test was here. This is my key. This is my value. Obviously, you will not able to see the value in the database directly because it will be decrypted data. But this is what the way you can see that in the CouchDB. Apart from this, there are some other files which are given to you, just kind of, let's say, application by which you can invoke the methods which are available into write data and read data. By the way, this init ledger was internally called through the script. If you've seen that internal in the start fabric.sh. So in one of the command, this was invoked internal. That's why this method was called. But from where this write data and where this read data will be called. So let me minimize my test network now. I don't want that. If I go to my Fabcar again, in the Fabcar, you will see these files: enrolladmin.js, invoke.js, query.js, registeruser.js. So my chain code is on, it is deployed. First thing, what I need to do is that I have to enroll the admin. So how do I call it? Is node enrolladmin.js. No, I don't have that. Fabcar, okay, cd javascript. Less. So node enroll admin dot JS. Just have the look here. Something is going to happen into the wallet. And the moment I say that, it is going to show me the wallet path. And you go into the wallet and you will see that admin ID is created. So this is first admin, which is going to give the approval to the other users. Then I'm going to create another user here. Let's say node register user .js, and then you will see that app user is also created. How this app user and admin makes a difference and all that thing, maybe we can talk later on, but you can see the certificates are generated for admin, the certificates are generated for app user, right? So these are the two things we are going to do. After that, there is a invoke.js. Let me open that. Look at this invoke.js. Now this invoke.js says that it is going to talk to one of the method from your Fabcar or Fabcar chain, let's say. And how it is going to talk is, it is going to take one path from this test network organizations, your organization. So test path is something like this. So it will be test network, inside that organizations, inside that peer organizations, inside that org1.example.com, and so on. And then it will also find out the wallet. And what it is going to do is, it is going to call submit transaction. For us, this method is very important. Now, what submit transaction does, it takes into account two things, rather three things. Number one, the method name. Number two, the key. And number three, the value. Now, remember that you don't have to pass the context, because if you remember our Fabcar.js, the write data method contains three things. It contains context, then key and value. But here, this submit transaction, which is going to add the transactions in the chain code, takes into account name of the function, which is going to be used to actually write the data, key and value. You're not supposed to pass the context. You're just supposed to pass keys and value, along with that the method name. So that's it. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to generate one more key, that is key one, and I'm going to pass this is sentence. So let me invoke this. So node invoke.js. So it says that I'm going to talk to the wallet. It checks about whether user is correct or not, and then transaction has been submitted. How do we check the transaction is correct or not, or it is fired or not? You can go back here. You can refresh it, and you can see here key one, and this is one value for that. So earlier it was only test, now it is this. Similar to that, there is a query.js. Now what is query.js? The rest of the things remain same. New thing is, earlier it was other transaction. So if you go back to my invoke.js, it was saying that it is submit transaction. In query.js, it is evaluate transaction. And what this takes is, again, name of the method and value. Again, remember, my method read data takes two things, context and key. But when I'm going to call that read data method, I'm not going to pass context. I'm going to pass only key. So when I say key one, I'm supposed to get the value which is associated with the key one in my application. So it is kind of an invocation by the user, that how do I get the values from my blockchain? Okay. So I'm going to say, let's say node query dot, and yeah, this is something, right? So this is the value. Of course, this is not static, but this is the value which we have actually added over here. The same value we have retrieved from this particular database. Okay. So this is the entire stuff internally works, that how you can add the data, how you can connect with your chain, fabrics, and all this. Any doubts, anything which is not clear, let me know. Just stop share.
Can you explain the invoke again?
Yeah, I will. Let me share. So this is my invoke.js, and what it says is, from beginning, typically, it talks to the network configuration. So it will talk to basically this test. Let me show you that path as well. So this is your test network organizations, peer organizations. Can you see this? This is org1.example.com. And then you will see here. This is a bit of a different way of writing the path. And over here you will see connection org1. Okay, so from this actually it takes the user information on that. Okay, this is first. And then in connection with that, it matches it with the basically your wallet. So it will talk to the wallet. So the wallet path is known to him. And if the wallet is not available, if the user and that wallet is not available, it will show you that the app user is not available for that particular thing, and it will return you false. If not, it will move ahead. It will create a gateway to connect to the CCP, that is the path that we have created, the wallet, identities, app user, discover, and all this thing. Maybe we can talk later on. But the important thing that we are going to do is that we are going to get a contract. Name of a contract is FABCAR. And then we are going to say contract.submit transaction. It is the inbuilt method of, let's say, Fabrics, which says that I'm going to have submit a transaction. Submit transaction will talk to the method which is going to add the transaction. So first argument takes the method name, second argument takes the key, third argument takes the value. Wherein, when I go to my actual file, which is in this particular fabcar.js, inside this file, if you see write data, it also takes CTX. But as I told you that is context which will be given directly by your Fabrics. So you don't have to give that particular context, because it will be a common between both the files that you don't have to give. So this submit transaction will take only keys and value. And this is the method. That's the reason all the methods that are written into that fabcar.js are not inbuilt method. You can write your own methods, because all these methods are connected somewhere from which you are going to invoke. These are not inbuilt methods. That's what the important thing. Is this clear, Rashmi?
Yes, Manda. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Okay. So if there are no doubts, I'm done from my end, Naveen. You can take this.
Oh, great. So I guess the day was a bit heavy today with those demo and examples. Anything you want to ask, you want to share?
Of course, you can do the implementations of test network and FABCAR, and again, we can connect and we can invest in 15-20 minutes for interaction again. That is possible.
So let's do this. Till tomorrow, you can complete this. We'll start this session with QA tomorrow. So 10 to 10:20, maybe we'll have if you have any issues, we can solve that. And we'll start the actual session at 10:20.
But make
yes,
sure
sir.
that you implement this. Otherwise, it will be a bit difficult to move ahead from this point.
Yeah.
So how can I get the recording?
Oh, okay. So once this session is over, I will push both the recordings, yesterday's recording and today's recording on YouTube, and I will share the link.
Okay, so because without this recording, maybe I am not able to do that.
Okay, sure. In fact, I will also share the document which I created.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Cool. Okay, let me stop the recording so that